Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started here this afternoon. Before we get started, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. Just a couple of safety precautions. Be sure to wear a mask whenever appropriate. Do be mindful of our elders. We try to limit handshakes and touches and hugs. So just be mindful of that as we go about our services today. Let's go ahead and open up with the word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, as we come before you, Father, we come before you, Lord, in sorrow, but Father, we come before you with thankfulness as well. Father, I do thank you, Lord, for John, Father, for his friendship, Father, for his work ethic, Father, for the legacy, Father God, that he's left behind. And Father, I pray that you help us to see that, Father, as we go about, not just today, but Father God, as lives are carried on, Lord, I pray that you help us to continue to look toward him, Father, to remember him, and Father, the wonderful things, oh Lord, that he has left behind for us. And Father, I do ask that you be with us today, Father. I pray that you comfort us, oh Lord. I pray that you see those who are hurting, Father, for those who are mourning, Father, for those who really are experiencing a great sorrow. And Lord, I pray that you comfort them and uplift them and encourage them, oh Lord. And I pray these things in Jesus Christ. Amen. This time we're going to read the obituary. John Charles Watson. John Charles Watson was born February 27, 1966, to Martha Postoke and Frank Watson in Dallas, Texas. He passed from this life on June 15, 2020 at the age of 54. John was a graduate of Kimball High School in Dallas, Texas in the class of 1984. Upon graduation, he enlisted in the United States Navy as a Seabee, where he worked with the Navy SEALs, the Army, and Air Force Exchange Service. In 2018, he graduated from Mountain View College with his associate's degree. John was employed with the Army Air Force Exchange Service, where he worked many different positions in a 30-year time until his retirement. John was a proud member of the Choctaw Nation and the McAllister Baptist Church in Overbrook. He loved nature and spent as much time as he could hiking and camping. John was preceded to death by his mother, Martha Postoke Watson, numerous aunts and uncles. He is survived by his father, Frank Watson, and his daughter, Shelby Flores, son, Samuel Watson, Aunt Etta Johnson, and Barbara Postoke, cousins, Ginger Wallace, Don Dunning, and Amanda Bowling. Some last-minute changes were made on the obituary, so if I maybe mispronounced or left someone out or something, I do apologize for that. Just want to spend a few minutes this afternoon reading from the book of Luke, chapter 7. One of my goals this afternoon is to offer a little bit of hope, a little bit of comfort, encouragement, and overall hope. I know that dealing with the loss of your father, a friend, truly a loved one can be difficult. But I do want you to know that we can look toward the Word of God and find a real hope. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is sharing through stories. I love stories, and if I can learn from stories, then it's even better. And so this afternoon, I'm going to look at one story found in Luke chapter 7. The Bible says, "Now it happened the day after that he," talked about Jesus, "that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and a large crowd. And when he came near the gate of the city, behold, a dead man was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And a large crowd from the city was with her. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and he said to her, 'Do not weep.' Then he came and he touched the open coffin, And those who carried him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say to you, arise. So he who was dead sat up and began to speak. And he presented him to his mother. Then fear came upon all, and they glorified God, saying, A great prophet has risen up among us, and God has visited his people. And this report about him went throughout all Judea and all the surrounding region. Now, this here is a story that's packed with a lot of gold. It's kind of tucked away. There's not a lot of details in it. In fact, we don't have any names other than the name of this city. But initially, right off the bat, we see that two crowds, they clashed, they gathered together. One crowd was with Jesus. He was just coming off of performing great miracles and teachings. And the crowd that was with him was full of joy and excitement and wonder. And as they're coming near to the city called Nain, they encounter this other crowd who is basically the complete opposite. A crowd that is full of sorrow, a crowd that is mourning, there is great discouragement, and more importantly, there's hopelessness. You see, they were mourning not just for this man who had died, but they were also mourning for this widow. You see, at this particular time in history, while women did work hard, extremely hard workers, they didn't always provide for themselves. This was traditionally left up to the men, that men would provide and care for them. And so we see that this woman was a widow, so she lost her husband. This woman she had lost her only child. And so there were no more men left in her life. And so the Bible paints for us this picture of being hopeless, helpless. One thing I know about losing folks is that first week you experience a range of emotions. Shock, great sorrow, even anger. Trust me, I know that one lady said just yesterday evening that she was so full of anger because John should be here with her. And I get that. I fully get that. Right now, I currently preach. I live here in Ardmore, but I currently preach 3 hours away from here. Just about every weekend. I drive 3 hours away. But I told them, I said, you know what? I need Father's Day off. I need this coming Sunday off. I said, I know my dad has been gone for 6 years now. I said, but as time goes on, it's almost as if losing somebody, that sorrow just grows more and more and more. For some people, time does heal all wounds, and that's awesome for them. But for others, as time goes on, it almost seems like that absence or that great pain, it just grows more and more. Especially as young people. You're going to wish, you had your dad here. You wish he was around. You're going to want to pick up that phone and share some wonderful news. Maybe exchange some messages with him. You'll want to share great memories. And all of those things as life goes on. And so that pain will tend to come back every so often. But there's great news, and the great news that there is hope, and it is found in Jesus Christ. We see here that as these two crowds were coming together, that Christ came, the Bible says, it clearly states that He had compassion on this lady who was experiencing this helplessness, this hopelessness, great sorrow and tragedy. Maybe she was wondering, how am I going to carry on? Who is going to be there for me? Maybe she would have thoughts of, I always went to my son. My son was always there. Who is going to be there for me now? I'm sure she experienced a range of emotions as well. Praise God that here in verse 13 the Bible says, when the Lord saw her, He had compassion on her. And He goes to her and He says to her, do not weep. And the Bible says he came in this coffin. At this time, it was open. He went and he touched that coffin. But not only that, he looked at this dead son. And when he looked upon him, he spoke to him as if he was alive. Why? Because the words that Christ would bring would surely indeed bring life to this dead man. And folks, I want you to know that we can find that same life found in Christ. It's not found in anywhere else. It's not found in anyone else. But he says, young man, I say to you, arise. This wasn't the first time that Christ had brought somebody back from the dead. We have several historical accounts where he would do so. We have historical accounts where he would weep. We have historical accounts where, for those that were his friends, he would cry, who had passed away. But more importantly, we not only have a God who can relate to us, but we have the God who can carry us through. We have the God that we have hope in. And he says, young man, I say to you, arise. We have testimony that John or J.C. At one time in his life would come back to the Lord, not just get involved with church, but at one time J.C. would give his life back to the Lord. And so, friends, we have hope that J.C. is not just gone away from us, but that J.C. is now experiencing a life more abundant, a life that none of us can imagine. I assure you that he's not just laying in or just dead somewhere and that we cannot see, but that he is experiencing a great joy that we cannot know until it is our time. There would come a time in J.C.'s life when he would hear those same words, young man, I say to you, arise. A time that God would surely bring life to him. The Bible says that this dead man sat up and he began to speak. And he presented him to his mother. Although we look at this story and see that this is some type of wonderful miracle and that this individual who was gone came back to life and all of that's wonderful and marvelous, the real lesson in the story is not so much about this man as much as it is about this mother. Because this mother is the one who would truly experience a hope brought to her by Jesus Christ. The Bible says, and he presented him to his mother. Folks, there's life found in Jesus Christ, and I can assure you that J.C. has found that life. The Bible says that once everyone heard this, that this report went throughout all the surrounding region. Folks, I don't like death any more than anyone else. And at times it's almost as if, how am I going to get through? How will I carry on? There will be moments of breaking down and great sorrow and grief. But I assure you, just as this report about Christ went throughout all the surrounding region, you can have hope in Jesus Christ that the same life that J.C. is now experiencing, you can experience as well. But not only that, but it's in those times of great sorrow and grief that you can say, you know what? God is getting me through. Folks, we can have a testimony about Christ bringing us life. There's hope, and it's found in Jesus Christ. He is offering you hope. He's offering you life. And not only that, but he has compassion on you. He's a God who not only knows what you're going through, but he is the God who will carry you. So I'm going to leave you with that. At this time, I want to pray one more time, and I believe we'll have two more songs. So we got Ezra. And Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you, O Lord, for this afternoon. Father, as today may even be just the beginning of a lifetime of carrying an emptiness with us, Father. Lord, I pray that you bear with those individuals. Father, I pray that you go to them, Father, in their homes, Father, in their workplaces, Father, with their families. Lord, I pray that you truly do comfort them, uplift them. Father, will you strengthen them. But not only that, but Father, as they go through great grief, oh Lord, I pray, God, that you would use that for your glory. Father, may they tell others that they are getting through and overcoming by you. And Lord, I pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ.